Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our school board meeting today. Board members, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We will go to 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. We will have board member Castro, if you could do the pledge for us.
I just started? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. And our new board member, Ms. Castro, thank you. Let's go ahead and go to 1.3, Adoption of Agenda. Can I have a motion? Any changes? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. No nays. Motion carried. Inspirational message 1.4 by our board member, Dr. Michael Gallo.
Thank you, Madam
Michael
President.
Gallo.
Did you say Miss Michael Gallo?
Mr. I said doctor by accident. Yeah.
I want to brag on something that we haven't got a report on in a little while, the Growing Hope Project and the folks at San Andreas and what the unique opportunity that students have there. As you know, there's been a number of teachers engaged in this, Barbara Pasachek, Ms. G, Ms. Figueroa, a bunch of other folks that have really kind of come together and made this their vision for the entire school, is to see students actively engaged in applied project-based learning environments that's surrounded by the investments that we have been able to make as a school board in providing top-notch applied learning classrooms for them to experience some of the growing systems that we're doing. It's called the Advanced Technology Farming Program, and it's under the Quake Innovators, which is their student-run business that they are now beginning to emerge after the district has provided some great guidance and support for them on. But the unique aspect of this is it's a full inclusion model. And that means it engages every one of our students that wish to be, of course, including our special education populations, not only in a participatory role, but it actually has the special education students leading this applied technology farming initiative with support from our regular ed students. So it's kind of it's a unique, exciting opportunity for some of these students. I've seen some students in Barbara's class that have gone from nonverbal students, literally when I met them a few years ago, to just vibrant, actively engaged students that you wouldn't think were the same kids. It is an unbelievable experience to observe the transformation that I have seen in these students. We've seen, and it's at San Andreas High School, and these are folks who we're trying to regain in the education environment, provide another educational model and opportunities for them to study in a smaller school environment and things, and they are just flourishing there. I tell you, the attitude, we've seen attendance go up for those students that are participating in the career pathway opportunities, which is quite something, for this student base, and so we're seeing some of them. Attendance is kind of the key thing, right? If you don't come to school, it's hard for you to learn, and these new learning environments, by providing these applied, hands-on techniques and exposures, is just fantastic. Now, to engage more students in this, we've actually created these student-run business opportunities so that students, say, that may not be interested in advanced technology farming or doing hydroponics and things like that. They are surrounded with, they may be interested in providing, say, digital media arts and other kinds of finance and accounting and project management and leadership and customer service and the holistic range of other career pathways that can be blended and integration with this primary STEM-based initiative. And this really is a way to more actively engage other students in an environment that's might even demonstrate what they see out in the real workplace. That's the whole point of this. And so, you know, the things that I have actually seen occur there are, I can't overemphasize the transformational nature of this. Some of you guys know I serve on a National Science Foundation board, and I lead a Career Pathways in Education subcommittee of that national board. And this is a national priority and area of interest to figure out how we can engage our special education populations, some of our more adult students, into how they can actually more actively participate in the workforce. Because as you know, most special education students, as they proceed through adulthood, are not gainfully employed. It's 72% nationwide that ultimately remain on some sort of public assistance throughout their adult life. And to me, that's a tragedy when I see the possibilities and I see the levels of contribution that our special education students can make to our workforce to build prosperity for themselves, their families, and our communities. So I see them as a rich resource for active engagement and a quality of life that many have not been able to experience. So to me, they're my inspiration, and I just wanted to share that with you tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Let's go ahead and go to 2.0, special presentations and resolution. 2.1, resolution recognizing October as National Bullying Prevention Month. And if I can have Dr. Wyatt, if you could read that for me.
Thank you, Madam President. All right. Whereas October is National Bullying Prevention Month, a time to raise awareness of bullying, which can include verbal, physical, and cyberbullying. And whereas almost 30% of youth in the U.S. are estimated to be involved in bullying yearly, either as a bully or a victim, and an estimated 160,000 students in kindergarten to 12th grade miss school for fear of being bullied. Therefore, be it resolved that the San Bernardino Unified School District will work to develop, implement, and monitor policies and programs that foster a positive school climate, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education proclaims its commitment to the education and prevention of bullying, exploring solutions, and offering support in recognizing October as National Bullying Prevention Month. All right.
So move.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. Let's go to 2.2, resolution recognizing October as Character Education Month. Dr. Hill, if you could read this for us, please.
Thank you, Madam President. 2.2, resolution recognizing October as Character Education Month. Whereas the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District welcomes the opportunity to proclaim that the present and future well-being of our society requires an involved, caring citizenry with good character, and whereas character development is first and foremost an obligation of families and the efforts of faith communities, schools, and youth, civic, and human service organizations play a vital role in fostering and promoting good character. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education joins the California State Board of Education in recognizing October as Character Education Month and encourages all schools to ensure that the development of strong moral character and the promotion of responsible, ethical, and civic-minded behavior are part of the curriculum. So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. Let's go to 2.3, resolution declaring Clean Air Day. Ms. Rogers?
Thank you. Recognition declaring Clean Air Day, whereas it is vital that the San Bernardino City Unified School District protect the health and well-being of children who are the future for our community, and whereas emissions for vehicle idling contribute significantly to air pollution, increased rates of cancer and heart and lung diseases, which adversely affect health, especially for children whose lungs are still developing. Therefore, be it resolved that the San Bernardino Unified School District declares October 2nd, 2019 as Clean Air Day and encourages all schools and offices to participate in activities that promote clean air for all and raise awareness to the detrimental effects of vehicle idling. So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 2.4, resolution in recognition of Week of the School Administrator. Mr. Gallo, if you can read that for us,
Sure,
please.
be happy to. Whereas the title of school administrator is used to define many education leadership posts such as superintendent, assistant principal, special education and adult education leader, district business official, classified educational leader, and other employees. And whereas the state of California has declared in Ed Code 44015.1 the week of October 6th through the 12th, 2019, as the week of the school administrator. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District, that all school leaders be commended for the contributions that they make to successful student achievement. So move.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. Let's go to 3.0, closed session, 3.1, closed session, public comments. Are there any comment cards? None? Okay, we will now adjourn to closed session. We will be back shortly. Okay, welcome back. Well, basically us welcome back, because we're back. Hold on one second. Let me just try to get this. Okay, we are back from closed session. I will go ahead and read out. Okay, so let me go ahead and read out. So be resolved that the Board of Education accepts a notice of recommendation for disciplinary action and statement of charges to dismiss the following classified employees from his or her employment with the district. HR Class 1920-01, HR Class 1920-02, HR Class 1920-03, HR Class 1920-04, and HR Class 1920-05. Can I have a motion? Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? None. Okay, great. Motion carried. So be it resolved that the Board of Education approve the appointment of the following employee: Barajas Gonzalez Beatriz, Director of Family Engagement, effective date, work year, and salary determined, funding 524. Can I have a vote? Can I have a motion? Okay. I will go ahead. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. I need to hear the ayes. Let me make sure. We have ayes. Okay. Any nays and abstentions? So we have 3 abstentions. I'll go ahead and abstain with that one. So that's 3 abstentions and 4 yeses.
No, 4.
3 and 3? Oh, that's 3. 3 and 3.
Barbara's not here.
So motion failed? We will go ahead and reconvene. Okay. So then we will go ahead and bring this back later. Morales Robert, middle school principal, Chavez. Effective date, work year, and salary be determined. Funding 035.
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? Oh, I need a second. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. Motion carried.
Actually, with 3 abstentions and 3 votes, the motion did pass for Beatrice. Forgive me.
Okay.
Forgive me.
I thought so, because typically if it's tied like that, it would pass. Okay, so,
Make that clear.
so I just want to make it clear that it was passed, that's what I thought, for Barajas, Gonzalez, Beatriz, that it did pass. So, okay, so we go ahead and have those two. Let's go ahead and move on to 5.1, which is K-12 textbook and instructional materials.
We do the public comment. Can we do it?
Oh, yes. Will this be really quick?
It's 7 o'clock, then we should do public comment.
Okay, so let's go ahead and public comments. Okay, we do have several cards for public comments, so we can go ahead and do the students beforehand, since it will be brief. Okay, great. So if we can have our student board member, and I can't see, Kyla, so if you can go ahead. Kayla.
Thank you,
School
Madam
board
President. I would like to share about a club that just started at Indian Springs High School. It's an Earth Club, so some students at this school has brought it upon themselves to take care of our environment. They have started different events where they're going to be cleaning up the trash around our school and around our community. They've started a new motion to pass out plastic, get away from the plastic straws and do metal straws for our campus. Just save the sea turtles type of thing. And I thought that was very sweet for our school to actually care about the environment and beautify our campus, because it's a beautiful campus and we'd like to keep it that way.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Then our school board member, Castro.
First off, I would like to express my concern for resources for mental health, just because I know students spend most of their time at school, and a lot of the time, many students can't find the way to figure things like that out at home. And that if there is resources, because I know for me at school, I don't know of any. So if there is some and they do provide some, to make it a bigger announcement. And on a positive note, I'm very happy about how Arroyo's doing on School Spirit, because there's so much more involvement and participation that has been happening, and it's really amazing.
Well, thank you for sharing that as well. Thank you. We have amazing school board members, so thank you for being here. Let's go to public comments. Dr. Marsden, do we have any comment cards?
Yes, Madam President. And board welcomes Ms. Devonna Robertson on Black Future Leaders, and we also have some other students, some other folks that want to talk about Black Future Leaders. So you're welcome to come up or directly after Ms. Robertson. Ms. Moreno, Ms. Griffin, and Hall.
Good evening. If it's okay, I would like our scholars to speak first. Come on, girls.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janila Marino.
I'm Kiana Griffin.
And I'm Nadia Hall.
And we are all freshmen at Cajon High School. First, I would like to start by saying thank you to the district for supporting Black Future Leaders financially. We enjoyed ourselves, actually, and we look forward to participating in this program for the next 3 years. We discussed hot topics such as reparation, which really made us think about our future, our college, and how Black people were treated when they built this country from the ground up.
I also wanted to thank the people who volunteered to watch us 34 teenagers. Something I really enjoyed was a motivational speaker. Shout out to Dr. Mitchell. And the food was really good. We played plenty of games, which helped me break out of my shell and make new friends and make sisters out of the ones I already had. And last but not least, we would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Tillman for taking us to spend the weekend at Cal State and go to the African American Museum. I know exposing us to successful Black people made us love being Black that much more and showed us we can do it. I also appreciate that you made us write essays. At first, I didn't know why we had to write anything, but now I know it opened my eyes to see that what our people had to go through to get where we are now, and we will say their names with pride. All in all, I know we will carry this experience with us forever, and we cannot wait to attend next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Great
thank
job.
you. And we were seeing
Ladies.
you practice outside earlier today, so
Well done.
that's amazing. Great work, girls, ladies, young ladies.
Yes, so I wear many hats, but today I'm before you as a grateful parent. Last year I told Kiana when her freshman year came up that she would be able to participate in Black Future Leaders, and Mr. Tillman told me to be sure that I signed her up and to let him know who she was to make sure she was able to participate. But Kiana was so excited that I was even that much more excited and wanted to stay the weekend. I know she'd much rather have me not lurking in the shadows, but her excitement really made me that much more excited to be a part of it. And I sat back and I watched the level of engagement that the students had, the fun that they had, the appreciation that they had. And then me as a parent was also very proud that Mr. Tillman was very intentional about bringing people from San Bernardino to speak life into these students. And even Dr. Mitchell was a favorite as well. My daughter told me last week, what did Dr. Mitchell say? And I'm like, you don't even know Dr. Mitchell. What are you talking about? What did Dr. Mitchell say? She's like, Dr. Mitchell said you can't multitask. So instead of listening to the radio, you need to listen to me as I was like, you was paying attention. But it also gave me a different view on Mr. Tillman, because I know you in a business suit as a board member, but he was like Uncle Danny that weekend. And he didn't play, right? He said, get on the bus. Everybody got on the bus. He said, sit down. I'm counting one time. Everybody sat down. He counted one time. He said, pick what you want to eat. This is what I'm ordering, right? And it just worked. I've never seen somebody order in such a, it didn't make sense. I was just thinking to myself, this ain't going to work. He got 30, 40 orders to take. Everybody food going to be messed up. And it just worked out. It was a beautiful weekend. It was a beautiful experience. And even going to the museum and seeing, was it Ernie Barnes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ernie Barnes was one of the exhibits. And the kids being able to see the famous artwork from Good Times and seeing who that artist was and having more understanding about what he stood for. And then his son was also there, and Mr. Tillman can probably speak to even the son of Mr. Barnes being impressed with our group of scholars from the IE. So I just want to, from the very bottom of my heart, thank the district for supporting such a good cause and allowing our students to participate, and even for us getting to see another side of, or me, getting to see another side of Danny Tillman. I appreciate the work of Black Future Leaders, and I look forward to being a part as a parent chaperone, at least for the next 6 years, or until you tell me I can't anymore. So thank you.
Can I?
Thank you. And then Mr. Tillman?
Yeah, thank you, and it was a wonderful experience. And just to touch on, we went to the California African American Museum, and it was, one of the exhibits was Ernie Barnes, and his son happened to be there. And we had a student there that was doing, taking video and doing interviews, so she actually got to do an interview with Ernie Barnes' son, so it was wonderful. But, you know, Black Future Leaders was created by people who had vision, and one of those people was Dr. Margaret Hill. She was a charter member who actually established the Black Future Leaders nonprofit in 1985. Do you remember that, Dr. Hill?
I didn't remember the year, but I knew I was up at Cal State when we got together with that.
You sure? You, Ms. Peacock, Mr. Hawley. I had to look at the names only because we're doing some stuff with the corporation, renewing the corporation. So we got to congratulate and thank Dr. Hill and the others for the vision. And I'm just there to help the students. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Marsden, Linda Bardier, because the letter was just wonderful. We sent out a letter from the district on behalf of Dr. Marsden, congratulating the students and inviting the students to attend the program. And this is the first time we've had a cross-section of all the schools in the district participating. So it was just a wonderful and outstanding program this year. So thanks to everybody who helped support it, including Dr. Mitchell. Thank you. And thank you for coming out and saying great things about BFL.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for being wonderful leaders that you are. Board welcomes Miss Gloria Amaya. It's the topic of implementing unity, violence, incarceration prevention services back in local schools, starting with San Bernardino High School and Sierra.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Gloria Maya. I am violence prevention specialist with Unity. Lately, we've been doing some proactive work with some of the schools that we still had partnership with. One being Sierra and the other being San Bernardino High School. But just to let you know what we're doing on a scale of assisting students, just recently we got some parent complaints that we were able to take notes and actually provide that information to Ms. Gwen and to Ms. Hill, and immediately it was resolved. But it only got resolved at the point where the parents came to us with these major concerns, and they didn't know where to go. They went to their schools, they went to their superintendents. That person's no longer here, but nothing had got resolved. So what we do at Unity, we advocate for the parent and for the student. This being children being afflicted through bullying, influenced by violence, and so I just wanted to come before you guys to actually take our program into consideration again, to renew our contract. What we did on a short scale, just to let you guys know, last Christmas we provided gifts for the students at Lincoln when Rose was in her position. We did prevention parties for youth who were subjected to domestic violence within their homes. We provided shoes for youth within your school district. We advocate for youth and parents, and we mentor youth who are referred by agencies throughout our region. We strive on keeping these kids staying in school, but also out of the pipeline of prison. Our hopes is that we do renew our contract. We haven't stopped mentoring and working with these principals, and just even ushering them to class and building a rapport with them. So I'm just here to let you guys know that we're not going anywhere. We love our community. We're community leaders. And we also invited youth to Sacramento this past year from Sierra to go and learn how to lobby. That was at all paid expense through California Safety and Justice. So those are just one of our many partners that we are, trying to promote youth to get on a state level to learn how to lobby for change.
Fantastic.
So I'm Gloria from
And then we
Unity.
do have a board comment.
Yes.
Clarifying question.
Hi, Gloria. Thank you so much for all that you do. I just had a quick question. You mentioned 2 sites. At those sites, were you contracted through those sites from those principals, or how were you contracted?
We were contracted at first with Unity, was only with Sierra and San Andreas.
Okay.
San Andreas kind of fell off, per se, and we kept rapport with Mr. Marietta. He's awesome. How we know Antoinette and built a rapport with her, I used to go and facilitate groups for another agency.
Okay.
But we still kept in contact and still helped her in any type of mentoring.
Okay.
She said she CC'd you a letter of support in our honor, and I appreciate that. However, we can help your students.
And have you been in contact with Mr. Marietta as well? Okay.
At least 3 times a week,
Okay,
3 or
good.
4 times a week, so we visit often.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amaya.
All right, thank you.
Board welcomes Craig Aguilard. Innovation Grant or Innovative Grant Expand Coping Skills Program in the district. Good evening and welcome. And I'll let you pronounce your last name for me so I can get it right the next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, board members. Sheila Marshall also is going to report on the same thing. She has another card.
Oh, great.
there.
I have that here. Thank you.
Okay. So what we would like to do to present is, I don't know if it's possible, we had a 3-minute video that we wanted to show you guys. If not, that's okay.
Are you
We'll
already
take
teed up with our technology team or no?
No.
Yeah, then we wouldn't be able to do it right
Okay.
now. It'd take too
All right,
much
no
time.
problem.
So, yeah.
So what we want to do is just share with you guys, we received an innovative grant, $99,000 to do a 2-year social emotional program at Cole Elementary. So I'm going to have Ms. Marshall go ahead and start and share what we have done. And we have some reports, some data, so you guys can kind of at least
fantastic.
see what we're doing there, and we want to pass that out to you guys. So Ms. Marshall, you want to come up and start, and then I'll close out.
Well, we just first wanted to say thank you for the innovative grant that you so bestowed upon us back in 2018, 2019. We were providing a trauma-informed holistic approach to mental health and wellness designed to empower from the inside out, helping to reduce the impact of ACEs markers affecting students and their families in our community. The year one, we taught 108 third, fourth, and fifth grade students evidence-based coping skills that supports the CASEL 5 core competencies. The world-renowned Claremont Graduate University Evaluation Center analyzed COPE's Soft Skills for Successes program, their logic model, and data, with results stating that by week number 9, students were able to knowingly self-monitor and self-control their emotions by a statistical significance of 99.9%. So that was very significant. In addition, they received 12 weeks of direct instruction and various techniques. Students received also 4 weeks of biofeedback, where they were doing daily breathing techniques. And the teachers also received SEL instruction or support to help implement those strategies in their classroom, such as before testing, at the start of day, as well as during other transitions. Students were able to build their self-awareness skills, their self-managing and responsible decision-making skills. During year 2, we're going to expand to helping students develop a deeper knowledge of their self-management skills and build social awareness, as well as relationship skills. So both of these years allow students to go away with an individualized wellness plan. So they themselves have knowledge of what helps them regulate themselves. So it's not just generic, it's for them specifically. We've also assessed the key performance indicators specific to the site population, and that resulted in a reduction in the target population. In the year prior, students of that target population had 12 suspensions. During the year that we had the program, only 1 suspension was occurred. Chronic absences were reduced significantly by 51%. 81% of students served reported improved lives at home as well as at school. 75% of teachers in the program reported having a calmer classroom, enable them to be ready to teach. So this is what we have done to date. And Mr. Aguilar is going to share with you what we would like to do coming up.
Fantastic. Looks like our tech team might be getting your video up.
Oh, he has it on a thumb drive, so.
Thank you for bringing the data, by the way. That's
No
fantastic.
problem.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you for the time. They're queuing up the video, so I'll go ahead and do my part. So it's just a 3-minute video, so
Thank
when
you.
I'm done talking, we should be able to go.
Fantastic.
All right, so based on what we've done and the excitement that we've had, and knowing the need that all our kids need to deal with coping with the trauma and the stress at home and at school, what we want to do is we would like to propose to expand this trauma-informed social-emotional learning system into 15 new schools in the district, so we can impact over 13,000 students in the district over the next 6 years. Our students need these coping skills to deal with life at home, in school, in the community, and in their relationships with others. We know that the teaching of these essential skills, if they're added onto the already crowded plates of teachers, more likely these skills will not be taught in the way they need to be taught. So we believe that educating the whole child is essential to the overall mental health and ability for students to be ready to learn in the classroom. So providing students with the skills and knowledge to cope with the trauma and stresses in their lives, not putting the extra load on teachers. I think that the Elevated Life, we would like to go ahead and add to helping solve this problem. We propose working with 5 new schools for the next 2 years, so in 2020 to 2022, and then 2022 to 2024, we want to work with an additional, another different 5 schools, and then in the upcoming 2 more years, we would add another school. So therefore, we work with 15 schools in the district with 2 consecutive years going over the social emotional learning. And we will teach, prepare over 3,000 students how to deal and cope with the trauma and stresses they encounter in their lives now and in the future. So that's what we would like to propose to the district. And if we can show the video, just kind of give you an idea of what we would like to bring to these 15 schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To breathe in for 5 seconds, or use 5 seconds to make you not stressed. You breathe in for 5 seconds, you hold for 2, and you release again. I learned unhook. When I feel stressed, I go take a walk. I use unhook with lion's breath. When I was angry at one of my friends, I used lion's breath and I calmed down. At home, I got mad, and when I came to school, it affected how I was doing my work. So I breathed in for 5 seconds, held, and I released. And after that, I finished all my work without being stressed out. When I'm mad, annoyed, or sad. At school or home. If you're feeling stressed or angry or anywhere like that, you could use lion's breath to calm you down.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. Appreciate both of your presentation and your time this evening and the results you've shared. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to clarify really quickly. You mentioned the organization COPE. This is not the same COPE that is here in San Bernardino. Congregations Organized Prophetic Engagement. Typically, when they come and present, they recognize themselves as COPE as well.
No, the program company is Elevated Life.
Okay.
But we call it Coping Skills. That's the name of the program.
Coping Skills for COPE.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
Board welcomes Mr. Alfredo Aguero. Topic of special education.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, all of you guys.
Good evening.
La razón de estar aquí es porque vengo para saber por qué razón es que no se me informó acerca de una reunión que le pedí a la señora Abigail. Mandé emails para preguntar si me podían dar la cita y pues se me prometió, pero no se me cumplió nada.
The reason why I'm here, I just want to know how come I wasn't informed of a meeting I asked with Miss Abigail. I sent emails and I was never informed, or they didn't. It was a meeting was promised, but they never haven't given it to me yet.
I would have to communicate. Yo trataba de comunicarme con la doctora Flores. Desfortunadamente estaba mala. So I've been communicating with Dr. Flores because the whole point is I wanted to try to connect a date with her so we can meet with you specifically on a date that she would be able to go. So it'd be myself and Dr. Flores and you. There wasn't any other meetings. Are you, maybe I misunderstood. Are you saying that there was another meeting without you there? Or is that?
Le pedí la cita aquí precisamente en septiembre 3. No he tenido ninguna reunión con nadie. El email lo mandé y puse CC a todos los miembros del board.
But nosotros vamos a ver. We're going to be seeing you, Dr. Flores, and I and you will be meeting so we can try to get what's going on. So es todavía, como está enferma, she's sick right now, but when she gets better, we'll try to get a date.
Well, mandé el email, pero pues mínimo creo que necesitamos una atención, decirnos lo que se nos tenga que decir y evito de venir aquí a hacer público esto.
I sent an email and I would rather have like an answer. I think that way I have to come here and make this.
Okay.
La otra cosa es que quiero decir que seguimos con los estatutos otra vez. 8ª vez nos vamos a reunir. El señor Wyatt estuvo presente en esa reunión.
Another thing I want to say is that we're still working on we're still with the same thing with the bylaws. This is going to be the 8th meeting we have. Mr. Wyatt was there.
Lo que quiero decir es que las reuniones del CAC se están consumiendo en esto y no hay talleres para educar a los padres. Sigo poniendo y la petición de que se nos autorice nuevamente tener los talleres que teníamos el año pasado.
What I'm saying is that we're wasting all this time with at the CAC meetings, and there is no workshops or anything to educate the parents. So what I'm asking you is, I want to get those workshops back as last year for the parents.
Porque lo que ellos dijeron fue que no nos necesitaban porque ellos iban a hacerlo.
Because what they said is that they didn't need us because they were going to do it.
Y lo que estamos viendo es que es lo que siempre ha pasado. No quieren a los padres que se eduquen. Y no es para que les den problemas, es para que aprendan cómo navegar el sistema para poder ayudar ellos a sus hijos.
And what I see is like it's happening all the time. You guys don't want to educate the parents, and it's not to give you problems. It's just so they can learn how to navigate the programs.
Sigo yendo a reuniones de IEP y sigo escuchando problemas con los mismos evaluadores, con los mismos, el mismo equipo de IEP poniéndole presión a los padres y llevando evaluaciones independientes para que no se autorice nada.
I'm still assisting to different IEPs where I see the same problems, the same evaluations, and they have the same people that are just doing things and they're having nothing done.
So, por favor, es de sentarnos a platicar y ver que escuchen a los padres los problemas que están teniendo, para que se pueda poner atención y se pueda trabajar para ayudarlos.
So all I'm asking is that maybe we can sit down and talk about it so we can help the parents in order for them to learn how to navigate and to solve everything that's happening with them too.
Nuevamente voy a pedir ayuda de ustedes porque voy por fuera y no se nos escucha.
I'm asking for your help again because I'm outside and nobody is listening to us.
Cuando digo fuera, es el Departamento de Educación Especial, CELPA, todos los administradores que están allí. Yo soy la persona que no quieren ver ahí en ese lugar, ahí me van a seguir viendo.
When I said outside, I'm talking about the whole administration with CELPA, and they don't want to see me. I'm the person that they don't want to see, but they're still going to be seeing me.
So, por favor, los padres necesitan ayuda porque sus hijos se están quedando, cada vez que pasa el tiempo, se quedan más atrás y necesitan que lo suban al nivel que merecen estar.
So I'm asking for your help because as time passes, all these parents or these kids are staying behind and they need to be on the level that they have to be.
Gracias por el tiempo y espero que me pueda dar una cita lo más pronto posible, señora Abigail, porque sinceramente tienen que escuchar los problemas que están pasando y no podemos detener esto.
I really appreciate your time and I hope, Ms. Abigail, that you could give me a meeting so we can talk.
Y como I just want to mention that it would be with Dr. Flores and I.
Okay.
So, okay.
También le voy a tener que decir que también va a estar un grupo de padres con nosotros porque son los que tienen que decirles a ustedes para que escuchen lo que está pasando. No quiero decirlo yo, lo tienen que escuchar de ellos.
I'm going to let you guys know that some group of parents are going to be there too so they can share
Okay.
what's happening.
Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Board welcomes options for youth.
What does that mean?
Good evening, Board President and Board members.
Good evening.
My name is Ileana Arroyo, and I'm the principal at Options for Youth Charter Schools. I want to thank you for renewing us for 5 more years. We really are grateful for you, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work with you side by side. I would also like to take the time to update you on our WASC status. We were recently accredited for 6 years without annual visits, and we're so proud of that. And with this, I'd really just like to start with introducing a few of our scholars. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President and Board members. My name is Isaiah, and I am a senior at Options for Youth. I am involved in many extracurricular activities such as football, soccer, and volleyball. I was also a part of Student Council where we focus on community service events and school spirit. We have worked with the Ronald McDonald's House where we help with breakfast for families. We also clean Sukhumi Lake once a year with the help of other charter school students. I came to OFI because when I was in regular high school, it was hard for me to learn with all the students in a class, and I couldn't focus, and it was also hard for me to get help from the teacher with the other students in the class. When I got recommended at OFY, I got more help because it was one-on-one with me and my teacher, and if she was busy with other students at their appointment times, we had tutors who can help us with the subjects we needed help with. The 2 teachers who helped me a lot, and I will always be grateful for them. One of them, her name was Asia Walker. She helped me no matter how many times I put my head down. She always picked me up and told me I can do it. For her, I will always be thankful for her. And even though she got promoted to be a coach, she checks up on me. She checks up on me every day. And the second teacher, his name is Mario Martinez. I got him as a teacher after Asia got promoted, and he has been the best helping me with anything I need, and I can always count on him. I am really glad I found OFY because it really made me feel like home and having a second family. I will be graduating in January and happy that OFY provides their students with 2 graduation ceremonies per year so that I can be part of the ceremony and have my family see me graduate.
Thank you. Good job.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Frankie Molina, and I've been going to OFY for about 3 years. I heard about Options for Youth through one of my public schools I recently went to. I was struggling in public school as well, just with the many students in the classrooms. There was hard for me to get more one-on-one action that I would have wanted. I needed to go to OFY for summer school. After my time with summer school, I spoke with my parents to let me enroll here at OFY because it was more of a one-on-one situation, and I love that about OFY. I was able to get the help even after my appointment times with my teachers. I was able to get tutoring with any of the subjects that I needed help with, such as math. I am really struggling through math, and the math tutor I have is Logan Moses. He's an amazing tutor. He really breaks down the math problems with me and takes it step by step, so that way it's easier for me to comprehend. And he takes it step by step. I also have an amazing teacher named Asia Walker. Asia has been there for me since I started. She is no longer a teacher, she is a coach, but she still takes the time to come see how I'm doing, and if I ever need anything, she and the OFY family is there for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Good evening. My name is Hannah Lee, and I've been going to options for 2 years. I originally went to options because I didn't have good one-on-one with my teacher, and I was falling behind. For the 2 years I've been going, I have gotten my grades up all the way to A's. I have gone on many pathways trips, including Cuba, and I'm going to be going to Italy. I am in student council, have been since last year, and I think Options is such a great school.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mariko Champion. I'm Hannah Lee's mom. We made a decision a couple of years ago for Hannah Lee to start going into Options. One of the best things I think Options has actually offered her is her assertiveness in the classroom, in the bigger setting. She wasn't able to be who she, use all of her skills and be who she wanted to be. It was more like a fly on the wall, and she walked through the life in that classroom, and now she's, her assertiveness is amazing. The idea that she's speaking to you guys is amazing. And I've seen her blossom and turn into this beautiful flower, go on trips without me, all the way from being in student council to being able to talk with you guys and being proud of who she is today and happy.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for making the time to come tonight. It's great to hear your stories of success.
Thank you.
Well done. Board welcomes Peter Atwood, topic of special ed. Good evening and welcome, Mr. Atwood.
Well, good evening. I can't say I'm a bringer of good news today. I'm a special ed advocate. I was in a meeting, an IP meeting today, in fact, with Alfredo. He was there also. And the good news about the meeting is that the predetermination and the lawlessness of the way it was conducted was so obvious that it won't be any problem if the district insists upon fighting about it to go ahead and prove that. The bad news is, though, that happened. This kid, the district hasn't done anything for in probably at least 3 years. And today they all got together and explained how they weren't going to do anything now. So since we made that clear, since then I've heard from Carlos Gonzalez, your attorney, and from Juana Lundy, that they'd like to talk about this, which is fine because maybe we'll be able to work that thing out. The bad news, though, about the thing is it's kind of like cockroaches. If you see this kind of an IP meeting take place, there's 100 more like it, lurking under the refrigerator and in the cracks. And I will be pleased if we can resolve this for this particular kid, but it doesn't please me that this is routine for the special ed department to make sure that if kids have learning disabilities, they're damned if they're going to do anything about it, and they're going to find a way to make sure that nothing gets done for the kid. That's not okay. Now, there's several problems with that. The most obvious, I think, should be that it makes it harder for the teachers. Teachers have a shorter and more pleasant day for the same amount of money and get a lot more done if learning disabilities actually get taken care of. I don't know why anybody wouldn't like that. I don't know why it is that just playing keep away seems like it to anybody like it's a real good idea, but anyway, that's how it is. So that's one problem that I see. Another one is that when you do this, you increase the chances of suicide, dropout. It's a very slight chance of school shootings, but that's increased also when you don't do anything about learning disabilities. It's well known that when you don't do anything about these things, all these things are more likely. I don't see why it benefits the district to encourage that. And that is presently the special education department's settled practice. That's the way they want to do it. So I'm not, as you can see, I'm old and I'm slow and I'm fat and I'm lazy and I don't want to work if I don't have to. So I always feel good about being able to make suggestions where you can get things done without spending more money, without doing more work. And so I recommend that the behavior of the special ed department be changed, and if people don't want to change their ways, that they disappear, because then without anybody working harder, you'll get more done, because the work that's being done is striving to prove how legally defensible it is to do kids out of the help that they need. Just abstaining from that, not getting the lawyers involved. Actually, if you want to spend $5,000, how about spending it for some vision therapy that works instead of giving it to Carlos Gonzalez? To my mind, I don't know why this is a problem. But anyway, there it is, and I hope to see changes.
Thank you, Mr. Atwood. Board welcomes Ms. Marissa Torres. I believe the topic is related to special ed as well.
In conclusion to what was said, yes, educating parents, especially in the transitioning when it comes to from middle school to high school, you know, actually hearing out, teachers need to hear out the parents' concerns, finding out what type of solutions they can have for their students. Actually the teachers taking the time to look into the case, the file of that student, because that student is just starting high school. Parents are not educated and finding out what to expect. What is it that they can get back from the school? What is it that the kids need, their students need? Just actually keeping track of their students, educating the parents on what the needs are of that student. Just collaborating with the parents overall, and just making sure that students are placed in the proper placement where it's a good fit for them. This is for the special education. It's in the best interest of the students. And I feel that a lot of parents with a special needs child, they're barely entering this environment, and they don't have knowledge of what to expect. So teachers need to know that. Teachers need to be able to communicate with the parents, and that's not what's being done. Also, there's some workshops that they were having with the gentleman Alfredo Aguero. What came out of that? They stopped. What was the status of what came out of it? You know, these parents need to be educated. These are parents that they're just barely starting. They don't have knowledge of what to expect, what to know, what are their rights, what are their, how can their needs be, how can they find a solution to their needs for their students? This is, it's taken a toll on parents like me, where you feel like you failed your child, especially when time has gone by and you know that your child is only going to be able to keep up for so long, and all because of time going by, letting the child just go from one level to the other and passing them down. Teachers need to realize that these are students, and they need to actually look into the student's file, have more concerns, check the concerns of the parents, look into it, find out what the student's about. Don't just go ahead and push him over to the next level. Maybe that's not his fit, maybe that's not his placement. You need to work with the parents, because that's why there's a lot of situations going on, and they're going to be arising one at a time. Would you be able to respond to the workshops
I
on
have
Mr.
a question,
Alfredo?
so I can respond with a clarifying question with regards, so you have a child in our school that has an IEP, or is part of that?
Yes.
Okay. So then the other question would be, have you attended the workshops that are planned? Because we have workshops that are planned currently, yes. Are you planning to attend, or have you attended those workshops? Okay.
Yes.
And then the other question would be, how, because you went last year, is that what I'm assuming? You went last year when we were offering those workshops?
Right.
Okay, and then so this year you're starting to attend, because apparently your question is that we're not having the workshops for this year, or what was
Well,
'cause
what
then-
it is that I didn't know anything about IEPs at the beginning. Yes, I knew it was a contract, but what I'm saying is that when my son transitioned from middle school to high school, I had concerns, I had questions that I did arise to the teacher.
Okay.
But teachers are focusing, they're just focusing on the class itself, not in the individual.
Okay.
They have to take the time to look into the file, the case. What is this student about?
Okay.
Where is he at? Is this the best fit for him? Does he need to be placed in a higher level, a different school?
Okay.
You know, if the parent has concerns, you know, check into a solution. What can we do about it? Do we need to assess him? Do we need to know where his level's at?
Right.
You know, what level is he in? Not let time go by and then just swish him over to another level where he shouldn't even be, and then find out later on down the line that, you know what? Nothing was done.
Okay, and then Dr. Marsden, can we follow up with her as well to make sure that,
Absolutely.
okay.
But what school does your son attend?
Cajon High.
Did you meet with the counselor when you did the schedule?
The scheduling?
His schedules and classes. Have you met with the counselor?
Oh, yes. In fact, he just started school. I mean, this is he's a super senior already. He's already graduated.
Okay.
So that's what I'm talking about, where he started from middle school, transitioned from middle school to high school, yet I wasn't made aware of a lot of information
I got you.
that should have been
Oh, okay.
given to me.
But then also your son already graduated, is that?
Yes, but
Oh.
he's there, he's remaining there until he's 22.
Okay.
But you're talking about what we could have done better.
I'm sorry?
You're talking about what we could have done better and some of the
Right.
changes we should.
Okay.
Yes, to move forward,
I
so
appreciate
that
that.
this won't occur again
Thank
to
you.
any other parent.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
So we will
Thank
follow
you.
up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And board, those are all of our public comments this evening.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go back to 5.1, which is the textbook, K-12 textbook and instructional material incentive program, 2019-2020. I'll go ahead, I forgot to open up to the public hearing first. And then 5.1, which is what I just read with regarding K-12 textbook and instructional materials. We do not have any comment cards? Do we have any comment cards on this item? No? Okay, so then I need a motion. Okay.
I think
Any discussion?
I think Dr. Hill has some comments. I'm just playing.
They'll come later once I see, I'll hold mine until later, thank you.
Okay, hearing no comments, then let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, let's go ahead and, the motion carried. Be it resolved that for the 2019-2020 school year, and San Bernardino Unified School District has provided each pupil with sufficient textbooks and instructional materials aligned to the academic content standards and consistent with the cycles and content of the curriculum frameworks. So now we're going to go to, let's close public hearing. And let's proceed to 8.1. 8.0 Administrative Report. 8.1 Unaudited Actuals Financial Report Fiscal Year 2018-19. Dr. Morrison?
Thank you, Board. So the team that you see before you has worked very hard to produce the Unaudited Actuals Financial Report for this fiscal year. So with that, Ms. Christakos and her team will provide a brief overview.
Thank you so much. Board, we're here to present, as Dr. Morrison said, the 2018-19 Unaudited Actuals. It is a report of an annual statement, next slide, Janet, of all receipts and expenditures of the district from the preceding fiscal year. We'll look at some comparisons this evening and ending fund balance and carryover. Our next slide shows the revenue and expenditure trends over the last 7 years. Our revenues through the implementation of LCFF have gone up about almost $265 million, and through this past year, expenditures up $280 million. The following slide gives a preview or a view of the 10-year ADA to enrollment trends. We have been declining in enrollment, and since 13-14 through 18-19, we declined about 953 students. As we move to the next slide, wanted to show the impact of declining enrollment. So last year we declined about 1%, 515 students. If you apply our attendance rate to look at the impact of funding, loss of funding to our district, that would have been about 485 ADA times the LCFF average rate. So about 5.8 million we would have received more in LCFF. It would have resulted in a decreased need for about 16 fewer teaching FTEs. That's a reduction of about 1.4 million. But then you can see that the district still loses additional dollars for programs and other things needed for our students as we decline in enrollment. So it could be really challenging when you're a declining enrollment district. The next slide shows the average unrestricted general fund net ending fund balance as a percentage of total general fund expenditures. In 17-18, the average unified school district was 16.98%. And then we were at 9.2% last year. And tonight we're showing you an ending fund balance of 7.26%. We don't have the average statewide until all districts have submitted their unaudited actuals. Many people ask, why would we maintain an ending fund balance, higher than the 2% required reserves? And, the 2% equates to about a week and a half of payroll. It helps districts prepare for economic downturns to preserve vital educational programs. It allows time to prepare for any cuts that can happen. If you're a declining enrollment district, it assists with that. And then as we reach full funding of LCFF, our increased costs outpace the projected revenue increases. Health and welfare costs go up each year, and then cost of maintaining and replacing assets are reasons to set aside dollars. And this board has been great with not taking away from programs, but when there's one-time dollars, setting those aside for future needs. The following slide, 8. Why is it difficult to predict the ending fund balance? And I tell you, the team does a really good job, and they work really hard. But there's a lot of things that occur. So in April, they're trying to project where we're going to end the year, and they're trying to look at what will May and June utilities look like, what will close out in work orders and purchase orders and construction projects, and what conference costs and extra duty will occur. And they do their best to estimate what that will look like by talking to program managers and looking at historical data. We had over 12,000 purchase orders issued last year, and almost 3,700 of them were from March to June. Some of our local revenues are a little difficult to project through the end of June. And then if negotiations settle towards the end of the year, that can impact the projection of the ending fund balance. What happened this year is we received a letter that we had to book, and it was a complete offset of revenues and expenditures of an additional $24 million on the STRS and PERS on behalf of the state. And so what the state does, we all pay into PERS and STRS for our employees. The state also pays. And as part of GASB 85, we have to record their portion of our the liability related to our employees. And then any change in PERS and STRS rates can also impact our projections. The next slide, I'll move through it quickly. If you need me to slow down, just let me know. It's a lot of numbers, and I know you've all seen them throughout the year. What we did is we took the adopted budget from last year, and we compared it to what we shared with you we thought we were going to end the year with, and tonight is the unaudited actuals. As you know, we bring first and second interim to you as well, and we update you throughout the year. This is the unrestricted general fund, and you see the beginning balance was updated to $61.5 million. Our revenues, Ms. King and her team did a good job projecting the revenues. You can see it was pretty stable throughout the reporting periods. And then the expenditures on line 3. We deficit spent $7.8 million, so less than we anticipated in May when we presented this to you. Our ending fund balance on line 5 is $53.7 million, lesser required reserves and assigned balances of $24.5 million, and then some assigned balances of $22.2 million, leaving $7 million unappropriated. And we'll go through and we'll explain what each of these numbers, how they're represented. The restricted general fund is on slide 10. The beginning balance was $44.4 million. And you'll see line 2 and 3 that there's a larger difference in what we adopted a year ago, what we estimated, and how it ended. And that's because we had to record that STRS and PERS on behalf of the state of $24.4 million. And that is an in and out entry, but it did throw off the revenues and expenditures as compared to what we projected. We deficit spend $7.6 million in our restricted and ended with $36.8 million. If you turn to slide 11, this is the combined general fund. So taking our unrestricted and restricted together and adding them together with a beginning fund balance of $106 million. And line 5 ending at $90.5 million, with reserves and assigned at $61.3, additional assigned at $22.2, and that unappropriated ending balance of $7 million. Slide 12 describes the ending fund, the components of the ending fund balance. Line 5 shows the 2% that's required by law. Less are restricted ending balances, some dollars that have been set aside for textbooks, TSSP, and some conference costs that crossed fiscal year, leaving a balance available after required reserves of $29.2 million. At adopted budget, you set aside $22 million for future deficits, leaving that $7 million unassigned. Slide 13 shows the restricted ending balances, and you can see all of the restricted ending balances, and so those dollars can only be spent for the purposes of these programs. One I'll point out is the low performing student block grant. That's very restricted, and we have till next June to spend those dollars. And the RDA, a lot of that, most of that's going to construction. And then throughout the last couple of months, on slide 14, the team has taken note of some items that the board has wanted to allocate one-time dollars to, and we've bolded them in blue. So AVID, support to schools, the board innovation grants, we allow them 2 years to spend the dollars to eliminate the CAPS waiting list. The Del Vallejo STEAM maker spaces at Del Vallejo, Generation Go, operational support for academic competitions, sports and band uniforms. And line 13, visual and performing arts, we need additional instruments for our students. And then just being aware on line 15 that SB 328 is headed to the governor's office, and if it passes, there could be a significant cost to our district providing the same level of service that we currently have. And so that's a request to the board of allocating 5.1 of the 7 million to these programs. On the next slide is just what's ahead, some of our major cost considerations. We are in the longest recorded recovery period. Recession planning, just planning for declining enrollment, health and welfare costs continue to go up. And what's different in the facilities realm, we've done a lot of building in this district, is you can no longer equip the classrooms with the furniture and the computers like you used to be able to with facility dollars. And so that has to be done out with the general fund. And special ed increases over time, and again, being mindful of some of the legislative changes that are occurring at the state. And STRS and PERS increases. We have a couple more years for those increases. And that's just to be mindful, and another reason to set aside reserves. On the final slide is just our calendar. We're at the unaudited actuals this evening. We'll have our first interim for you in December. And then the auditors will be here in January to confirm or make any audit adjustments to what we presented to you this evening. And that's our report.
All right, any questions, Mr. Tillman?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of when we do have declining enrollment. I really think we should have metrics in place that drive positions, meaning that if we see a decrease in enrollment, that as soon as we realize that, then when we realize the positions, the upcoming year, if we can through attrition not fill positions to be in line with the amount of revenue we're getting based on the ADA, we have to do that.
Yes.
And I think we have to do it across the board. And I've always heard us talk about there being a certain number of rec aides and certain number of instructional aides and teachers based on the number of students. And I think we have to follow that strictly, or else it becomes unsustainable. And I do realize that in doing that, it causes frustration for parents and the community, because we would all like to have classrooms with only 10 kids and 2 teachers and 2 instructional aides, but we can't afford that. So, and if we tried to do that and we went bankrupt, no one's going to say that the district went bankrupt because they tried so hard to give kids smaller class sizes. They're going to say we mismanaged the budget. So I just want to make sure we never lose sight of the fact that everything has to be driven by the amount of students that actually show up. If we only hire to meet those needs responsibly, then we won't have a problem because of declining enrollment. But if we don't do that, declining enrollment will be a huge problem for the district, and we will go bankrupt.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman.
All right, I have a question with regarding one of the slides. It shows special ed increases. What will that look like? I know that typically the federal government only gives us, or we only receive a certain amount. And so, what we actually do compared to any other school district, we actually allocate from the general fund to help support.
That's correct.
So then when you mean by this, maybe it's something else. What are we referring to?
It's this, the costs continue
What
to
page
go
you
up.
on?
On
Slide
page 15.
Yeah.
15.
So because the federal government doesn't fully fund special ed and costs go up in special ed just like they do in general education, we can continue to contribute each year more for special ed because the costs do go up. And so it's typical of all districts. I don't know of a district that doesn't have increased costs for special ed.
But the question I did have, because we missed the number the most in restricted money, is restricted the same thing as special ed increases?
Restricted dollars?
Right, where we had
That was for
the
mental health.
biggest discrepancy in the estimate versus the actuals.
Oh, yes, that was as a result of the PERS and STRS actuarial that we had to record on state. So on slide.
And I'm not talking about that because you said that it was offset. We did,
Revenues and expenditures.
was the
Yeah.
exact amount, right?
Correct.
I'm not talking about that.
What slide are you on?
I'm just talking about in general. If we had a projected ended balance at the beginning of the budget, we thought the ending balance was going to be, what's the combined? 39? No. Yeah, we had it projected at being $63 million, but the unaudited actuals was $90 million, right?
Yeah, so it went up to 73.2, Mr. Tillman, after we knew what the new beginning balance was for last year, and it ended at 90. That's correct.
But my question is, and most of that was most of that difference was it in restricted balances?
There's a lot in restricted, so if you look at,
No, but my only point is, so if we're missing it by that much money, I just want to make sure that we're not taking general fund money and holding it in a restricted area with the thought that we're going to need it, but in the end you don't need it.
no, so if you look at slide 10 on line 5, it shows the ending balance for restricted. If you move to slide 13, you'll see the list of those restricted programs. So Medi-Cal billing option is completely separate. It's like a categorical. We have the Clean Energy's Job Act. That's very specific for energy improvement. Our lottery instructional materials are specific. We use that for textbooks. We have our mental health services, which are very restricted. And Dr. Menarez did a great job and Dr. Lundy in spending those dollars down. We have a grant that is in year 2 of 3. And so these were all mostly grants, our restricted maintenance, 8150, and then our RDA. So that's what made up the restricted ending balance.
It says reserve for restricted ending balance.
Yeah, so that's on slide 13. If that's what makes up that 36 million.
No, but I'm saying it says reserve for restricted ending balance. That's 27 million was the estimate, and the actual was 36 million.
What slide?
Page 12.
Page 12. Yes.
Line 6. What does that mean?
So in June, we thought we would have 27 million left in restricted, and we had 36.8 million left.
But what does the reserve part mean?
So if they're restricted programs, you have to set those aside specifically for those programs. So we project how much we're going to spend and how much we'll have at the end. And so those dollars are set aside, and they're all listed on slide 13.
I guess I'm just trying to get a practical. What is the money for? I'm asking. I mean, it says
for
you say you have a reserve for restricted ending balance.
Correct.
So what is that? And you said at the time of the
Estimated in May.
So, and I guess you said estimated actuals June 2019, because the original was probably what, even lower? I'm just trying to get a feel what it's for. That's not saying you setting money. You thought you were going to set aside 27 million, but it ended up setting aside.
We thought that these programs would be spent down to 27 million, and they were spent down to 36 million instead.
Right. And my question is, so what was it at the original budget?
At the original budget, let me get to the right slide. So if
This is
you
actually
look
general.
on slide 10 for restricted,
This is combined. Yeah, this is general fund on page 12 that we're talking about, right? It is.
page 12 is the combined.
So you say go to what page?
So you want combined, what we thought at adopted budget?
Right.
For the restricted reserves,
Whatever it is on page 12. What is page 12? I think it says components of any balance combined general fund. Is that general fund or is that general fund and restricted? I'm not even sure what that is. Is it?
so it's combined.
Okay.
So the page before 11 walks through all the components, and slide 12 breaks it down. So on slide 11,
So the adopted.
this was the combined.
Right. So the adopted budget, what was the number?
So the less required reserves, we thought we were going to end with 63.4. It got adjusted at estimated actuals line 5 at 73.2. We ended at 90.5 for combined.
Combined. So this is just general fund.
Yeah,
Just
unrestricted and restricted.
The one on page 12.
On page 12 is combined general fund, unrestricted and restricted. So it takes the 90.5 million on
Okay.
line 5
All
and
right.
it breaks it all out. It gives you the details on line 12.
Oh, this is just the
slide
details.
12.
I
Yeah,
got
it's
you.
just the details,
I got
yes.
you. Okay. Well, I just would hope that in the areas that we missed the numbers substantially, that I know you said it's hard to figure out where the numbers are, but
We know where we missed in larger amounts, but there's thousands of budget lines, and some items are very close and some,
And to be honest with you, the reason why I say that because, as you know, I've been doing this for many years. I can't say how many because Ms. Rogers will get mad at me. But there is a time when if we have to make cuts, someone knowing where that money is makes everything a lot nicer. If they don't know, I don't know what we would do. We've been through tough times where we had substantial any balances, but when we went through tough times, because the person in your position knew where the money was, we didn't have to make cuts as deep. Now, it would have been a nightmare if they would have said, we don't know where this money is, and therefore you're going to make cuts on top of having money that's there. You know what I mean? So that's when it's going to make the big difference. And it's going to happen. There's going to be a time when the economy turns bad, and we're going to have to use this money to shore
Offset
other areas. And that's the reason why I'm not so focused on making sure that it's as bad as you guys say it's going to be in the beginning.
All right. And
Thank
then
you,
Dr.
Mr.
Hill?
Tillman.
Dr. Hill?
Mr. Tillman, are you finished? I just want to go. Thank you for your presentation, and thanks for the support from the team. All the whole hard work you do. I just have one question, and that's on page 14. I'm concerned, as I know everyone is, about the CAPS waiting list. So that $650,000, is that to take care of the CAPS waiting list for 2019-20, and which means we won't have any kids on a list?
and if you'll recall, a few years ago, you already contribute $2 million towards that, and this is in addition to the $2 million on top of their allocation that they get from the state.
Okay.
So Dr. Hill, I'm happy to answer that question. Yes, we actually looked at the number of students from every single school that are on the waiting list and calculated exactly how much we would need to clear our CAPS waiting list completely, and this will do it.
Okay, and that will definitely take place this school year?
Yes.
Wonderful.
And when will the parents hear about that? When will the parents hear about that?
So they will be contacted. We have every single student who's on the waiting list, and we'll be making personal contact with them to let them know.
So I've gotten calls about kids on waiting lists. Thank you.
Madam President, could I comment on
Yes.
that as well? Because I know
Dr.
that was
White.
one of the key issues I had when I first came on the board. The main issue before wasn't necessarily the money, but having the capacity, meaning the folks that could serve our kids. And do we have those all in place then?
Yes, actually, we have queued up all of our community-based organizations to let them know that this is the direction that we are planning to go, pending, our board's approval on that. But all of our teams are ready to put that in action pretty quickly.
And do we know how many kids approximately?
I have a BC that I was have prepared for you guys that would be with you at our next board meeting with all of the details about the number of students. And I know that it will take 23 additional staff at about 20 kids per, so looking around 440 or 450 students.
Okay, well, that's a lot less, because I know it was around 1,500 at one time, so going in the right direction.
Okay, and then Ms. Rogers, do you have a question? Ms. Rogers?
After Danny, go ahead.
I was going to thank them for the $505,000 for the Devaleo Steam Makers space. They're really putting some money behind it.
That's good.
All right, Ms. Rogers.
I just want to say I'm appreciative to page 8. Again, I know since I've been on board, the question comes up pretty much in my layman terms is if I have money in my checkbook a lot more than I thought I had, why? And so, you know, for us, and I get it, Mr. Tillman, I really get it, because we really need to understand there's some things we have no control over, and you did a great job pointing that out so that we can understand there's just some things we can't do. It helps us explain also in the public as well, because a lot of times in the past, these big numbers are just there, and we know that it's, you know, that there's this mass amount of money not being spent, then we have mental health issues, or we have this going on. Why are we not putting our money in those places that will help the students? So I can appreciate that. But I also, you know, to what Dr. Wyatt has said, I just want to mention consistency. I know we have a lot of collaborative partners. They do talk. They do bring those concerns to us as board members to say, okay, if you have a waiting list and they claim they can assist and help with it, then we just got to make sure we're on top of that, utilizing even our relationship that we're saying we're establishing in the city of San Bernardino, where we can maximize servicing kids and put them in a positive place after school. What does that look like, and how can we get this waiting list down? Because it is a help. I'm sure all of us that are parents that have experienced needing to do this, being at work and knowing my kid can be at this particular place safe until I get done working is a burden that's off every parent. So the faster we can do that. But there's many of our collaborative partners, they just don't understand the process either. And we want them to be able to do it. Don't just say you can service 100 kids and then your square footage is 500 square feet. Doesn't make sense. But I hope that the team is reaching out and even, you know, making sure it's a fair process for all. Got it? Okay. So that's
all right. Mr. Gallo?
Yeah, I have a kind of a related question, Janie. What do we do when we have unspent funds at the school sites? And there's lots of reasons for it, as you know. Procurement, you know, order the wrong thing, something comes in, it's not there anymore. And I think what I've heard that we do in the past is we recapture those funds, and the school sites never really get to expend it and roll it over for the next year.
Sometimes.
Can we rethink that policy? I mean, especially if there's good reason, like if they're just not spending money, I understand, hey, don't give it to people who can spend it. But if there's actually a rational reason, like things are on order, things are, you know, there's other issues that are going on, is there a way to roll over those dollars so that school site can implement their strategic plan?
So, you know, they get a new allocation every year, and with their federal dollars, it's recalculated, and they do get more money the next year because they get their annual allocation, and it depends on the circumstances. So if everybody waits until March and April to order their items, this will happen, and we find that we want them to spend this year's dollars on this year's kids.
Right.
And so if there's something very specific, we work with them. There's things that we do. There was one of the items in here, a conference that they thought was coming out of last year's budget, but didn't happen until July, so we're allowing carryover to pay for that because they really truly had it in their plans. So we work with them. As a practice, we want them to get their new year allocation and spend the dollars. And then if there's circumstances, we will work with them.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to get specific here, but yeah.
And have them contact.
I've heard that being an issue.
And Janet deals with a lot of folks that call that have situations, and we work with them.
Okay.
And so if it's something specific, please let me know.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Can I
Yes, go ahead.
just want to give, Ms. King and Mr. Cunningham don't have a summer. They work really, really hard, and the whole team works hard, but it's quite a feat over the summer to close the books, and I just want to give them a special thanks for everything they've done to get us to this point. Thank you so much.
Perfect
Thank you
job.
very much.
Good job.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and go to, oh wait, we're supposed to be voting on this. So can I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All those abstaining? Okay, motion carried. 9.1, which is report by San Bernardino Teachers Association. I seen Ms. Alcala here earlier, so I wasn't sure if she's still here. No? 9.2, report by California School Employees Association.
No report.
No. 9.3, report by Communication Workers of America.
No report.
9.4, report by San Bernardino School Police Officers Association.
No report.
Okay, 9.5, comments by board members, and we're going to go ahead and start with Dr. Wyatt and then move along this way.
Thank you, Madam President, and try to make it brief. Was very fortunate to be able to attend the Community Advisory Committee with Dr. Menards, Dr. Lundy, and their team, and it was nice to see a good turnout by our community as well. And I know we've had some comments about the CAC, and I just wanted to comment and say that it was a very well-structured meeting that had a really good flow to it, great participation by the parents and staff. I really did appreciate the presentation. They had it up being projected in both not just English but Spanish. And I thought that was a really nice touch for a number of our guests to be able to interpret what was not just being spoken, but what was written up on the presentation. I haven't seen that actually anywhere in my experiences. So, because we've heard some comments about it here on the board, and I wanted to go and see it for myself. And so I thought it had a really positive tone to it. They're setting the standard there for the understanding of how the Community Advisory Committee works, as well as the structure to it, and I know the bylaws too. So, I know there have been some concerns brought forward to us, but at the same time, we need to look at it, in which we have, and I believe the new staff, new leadership is really setting the tone and the basis for where we need to go. And obviously, there's going to always be improvement needed, but I feel that it was a very positive meeting. I was always also very fortunate, and I imagine this might come up again, to attend the Black Rose Gala this past Friday, and I know she'll probably get mad at me, and Ms. Rogers will probably add to this, and we all will that were there, but our wonderful and lovely Dr. Hill was acknowledged for a Lifetime Achievement Award, and I don't think we could say enough wonderful things about her, and to echo all the things that were said about her that evening. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen Dr. Hill get emotional, and that was a first for me. So it was actually a wonderful, wonderful evening, and Dr. Hill, congratulations and thank you for everything you've done for our community. And that was just a wonderful evening for us. And also went to 91st Symphony here in town, and it was really exciting to go to that. And I think one of the big pieces about that is also trying to raise money, not just for Symphony, but our school programs as well, and keeping the interest of music in our city. And I encourage anyone in our community, and not just our community, but local cities, to attend that. Wonderful, wonderful event. I mean, incredible music too. And our new conductor, I can't remember his name, but he was just super dynamic and had just this amazing personality. And so just a really great weekend. And then we did have a correspondent in our packet, and I just wanted to make sure I acknowledged one of the individuals from our community who is echoing kind of what I've been talking about quite a bit up here on the dais, and that is traffic safety around schools. And so, it's nice that this individual not only addressed us, but also our city council and our chief of police, because this is going to be a collective impact. When I say chief of police, let me make sure it's city police, not our school police, but our city police. So, it's going to take all of us to ensure safety around our schools, traffic safety. And, this is just another example of why we, and I say we as a community, parents that are out there, and family members and siblings, whoever's taking our kids to school, we really have to take our time. Be careful out there, folks. Please take your time. And I did see another district I happened to be in again last week, and using the cones, and I'm going to emphasize cones. how we could utilize code and patterns to control the flow of traffic around our schools. And it's not a big expenditure. I know it takes time for people to put those out there and collect them, but it really can help with traffic flow. And that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you. Dr. Hill?
Thank you, Dr. White. I was emotional, which I don't get too often, but they surprised me. But it got me. I had a chance to go to the DAC meeting, and I just praise Dr. Greer. With the parents and with staff members, the parents had to play two roles. Not only did they play the role of a parent, but they had to play the role of an administrator. And it was interesting because the lady I was there with, when she got ready to play the role of the administrator, and she said, "Oh my gosh." I said, "Yeah, administrators say that too, depending on what's happening." And I said, "But come up with the best you can." And but I think it was good, Dr. Mitchell, for parents to see, we're still humans. We still have to think on our feet. And I thought it was such a great exercise. My other thing I want to leave with you, at Fairfax Elementary School, I went over when they were celebrating their superhero day, and there was a 5th grader who had saved his mom's life. I don't remember his name, but he was home with the younger siblings. Mom had a baby 2 or 3 days before, and the young man heard this moaning going on. So he went in the room, and his mom was out. I mean, she was actually unconscious, or close to being unconscious. He dialed 911. Then he went in and got his younger siblings in one room and said, you need to sit here. When he talked to the police, because I guess they live in an apartment building close by, he had to direct the police on how to get to where he lived. And Mom said, "I wouldn't be here today had it not been for my son." So I just want to say to all of our students out there, learn CPR, please. And they gave the credit to Fairfax. The young man said, "I learned how to do this at Fairfax." So I hope we are teaching all of our students to do those things. And I just want to say again to Cabinet and everybody else, decisions aren't easy to be made, and there are going to be times that, we decide which battles to fight and what have you. Some we might should fight a little more than others, but when all is said and done, we're here for the same reason, for our kids. And I'm just hoping we have off to a bad start, I know that, but hopefully we're going to have a good rest of the school year. Thank you.
All right, great. Mr. Rogers? Ms. Rogers? Did I just say that?
No problem. And I just continuing on with Dr. Hill, congratulations, but I want to say that they knew not to tell me. I can't believe it. Everyone thought I knew up until the last minute. And then I told my son, I think they're talking about her, and he walked over and he was her escort up. But I said, go lightly because she's going to get you for this. But congratulations. It's always nice when we can do that and you don't know. I had an opportunity to meet with some of the ICUC youth, and I have brought this to Dr. Perez. They wanted to know about our GSAs on the campus, our Gay, Straight, and Alliance clubs, ensuring that they're all consistent and that they are on campus. And I did tell them that I know that we're supposed to have them, or they did exist, so I told them that I would mention and bring that up. Secondly, I also want to talk about mental health. I don't know, I think I brought this up maybe some time before, but I don't think we have a mental health pathway. And if we don't, I want to go on record again and say, out of all the pathways, I know we continue to find different ones, we need to make sure that mental health is one of our pathways if we're going to connect and collaborate with our students. I watch, obviously a lot of different council meetings, or attend or go. And I don't know if there's some rule, I've never probably in a long time looked at our blue slip, but I'm wondering, does our blue slip identify what school the person is speaking from? or perhaps the capturing the student information as well. I know the city does your address and all of that, but it will help better to understand, you know, where they're coming from, even if they announce that. You know, what school are you from? Where are you representing?
Yeah,
I
we
think it
can
would be
certainly
good.
request that. No public member has to list anything at all, but we can
Okay.
request that.
I think it would be good because it also helps us, or it would, I know it helps me, but I would know where they're speaking from, what place. Are you speaking as a community member? Are you speaking about a specific
Sure.
school?
Sure, we can
And
do
so,
that.
so if we can revisit that. Again, I had an opportunity to attend, I think, their first DAC meeting, and what I wanted to, I know Dr. Mitchell, this question, I remember when I was the DAC president, it was a very, I know they want to increase the APACs. It was one of the initiatives, but I would hope at this point in time that someone is working on whether we even have APACs, because you always have to start with that. And I think in talking with the DAC representatives, they can also help with bridging those relationships on the campus sites to work with the people that want to be in leadership roles. But we got to know what we have, and everyone has to identify. If you're running a meeting 2 to 4, I can tell you it's not going to work.
Yeah. So if I can address that, and I appreciate the question. So one, I've asked Dr. Greer to work with our leadership in DAC. One of the things that we want to do is be clear about the purpose for APACs. Convening parents of African American students is not an objective.
Yes.
There's got to be a reason and rationale, purpose, and an objective for convening parents of African American students. So what I found in my school visit, I just happened to be at Pacoma the other day. She was having an APAC meeting that night, and I asked, what is the outcome?
Right.
And she was able to say some good outcomes. And what it made me think is that we need to standardize and have a conversation about why we're convening folks. What do we want to get out of that? So Dr. Greer is working on that alongside with our DAC leadership. And number two, what we've asked is that all principals send us the names of their current officers or highly involved parents of African American students, and we would start this year off with a leadership development meeting for those groups of parents. Why are they convening? What outcomes are they after? How can they work alongside the administration of the school to achieve some collective goals together, and how they can support the achievement of those goals and add value, as well as also be a critical lens for the culture and the climate of the school. So that you're right on. Dr. Greer is working on it. He's gotten off to a great start. He's accomplished quite a bit in the 8 weeks that he's worked for us. And so that's his next task, and we're trying to do that in concert with the task force meetings.
That's great, because I've seen your BC that you have for us, and that I took that away from it as well, that there is some intensive organization that's going to take place with APACs and making them relevant. And I agree, that's kind of where I started with. Let's make them make sense, uniform them as well. While we're on that, I will mention, this is my comment too about the D&F report. We know that we are closely getting to, if memory serves me correct,
semester.
the first
quarter semester.
And so I want to make sure that the district knows that I will be asking, and the expectation is not to micromanage, but to say, then what are we doing? Because there's a button that you're going to press and know that there is all these D's and all these F's are taking place already, but what is our plan? Because that's part of the meat and potatoes, as you said, not only of the African American Initiative, but certainly with a lens on that, as well as working out. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to give that to you.
I went last night to the literacy kickoff campaign or meeting. It was great. I just want to say that Tasha Doizen, am I saying it right? Doizen, she did a great job. It was a great meeting there. There was a lot of engagement, a lot of information with the focus on what is happening with working with our K through 3. So I think that's very important. Like, just as well as this morning, I got an opportunity to stop by the late start, and just the community and everyone knows that we're ahead of where others are not. And that's the importance of having relationships and following legislation. So I'm glad to say that, we're not deer in headlights sitting here today, knowing that October 15th is coming our way and we don't know what to do. As I shared this morning, it's happening to us. And so, but when we know that something may happen, it's best to be prepared. So I'm grateful for that. And then lastly, Abigail can help me with this one because I want to say it right. But Abigail and myself will be receiving an award on the 27th of this month. And it is called
Librería del Pueblo, which is Library of the Community.
And it's a
community library.
The Legacy of Achievement for women. So we will be co-partnering with that.
Yes,
All right.
thank you, thank you.
Those are my comments.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it's your
Okay.
turn, Mr.
Yeah, after that 15-minute, I'm just kidding.
That's because I go places.
You're going places, all right. One comment on Margaret. I know the CPR initiative has really been a great one for this district to embrace. And as you guys know, this started off with Dr. Takenlow and Dr. Evelyn Massey at Loma Linda University Medical Center with their program called 50,000 in 5. And that was to actually train 50,000 of our residents, student-based population, in 5 years. And I think they're on like year 4 or something now. I know they're well on their way to their goal. But the stories that they have had, along with the one that Dr. Hill just shared, there have been several students in our district alone that have saved a loved one or family member through their intervention with CPR. So, yeah, I thanks for bringing that up, Margaret. That's pretty inspirational all by itself. Let's see, Margaret, Gwen, and I had a chance to meet with the city officials under our newly reconstituted Bridge Committee. We call it the Bridge Committee, where basically city officials and our school district get together to discuss mutual issues of concern and how we can actually cooperate and work together to address these issues in our community. The mayor, along with his new chief of staff, Matt Brown, were present, and we had a nice dialogue, and I think this will be a worthwhile endeavor to identify these cooperative issues that we can work on. And I'm hopeful that it will result in creating a better environment in our city. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Tillman?
Yes, just 3 quick things. On the changing the speaker slip to add information, I just want to make sure we put down that you mark the fields that are optional, because sometimes people get freaked out thinking you're going to use it to retaliate or something like that. Right. Yeah. But whatever they don't want to give that makes you feel uncomfortable, other than the name and the address, I would make sure you say it's optional. You know what I mean? Because we don't make them feel uncomfortable. I don't know. We probably don't have any guidelines set up, but on the calling system that the school uses to give you information, I think we should have a discussion. If they calling you 10 times a day, you kind of like say, I don't want to hear this message. You know what I mean? So it kind of defeats the purpose. I think they really should look at using it sparingly, so that a parent knows when they see Cajon or San Bernardino High School, whatever the name is, that this is something that's probably important. I just think at some point, if you
use it judiciously,
right? Because if you're getting 10 calls a day, you stop listening.
Yeah, we could reiterate that. Be happy to.
And then maybe if you're going to do calls, you prioritize the calls based on which one's more important, whether it's a kid missing school or, come to, whatever the day is.
Yeah, we could reiterate that.
I don't think we're doing that. And then I had some people from the community approaching about our elementary community day school. So just want you to make sure you take a look at it. We created the elementary community day school because there was a time when elementary kids got expelled from school. They stayed at home. And so we created this community day school, not just for students who were expelled, but for students who had some discipline problems, but could benefit from a smaller class size and professional counseling. So I hope we don't lose sight of that. We never meant it to be a place where you put students and have a situation where it wasn't constructive and it was getting out of control. So I'm not saying that's happening, but I just had somebody approaching about some concerns about it. So we want the best and brightest teachers and the best and brightest counselors in an environment to benefit those students that have the most needs. And that we should never lose sight of that. That's what the whole program was created for those elementary kids. So Dr. Martin, I'm just bringing it up tonight just to make sure you and your staff can take a look at it and make sure we're doing
we will do that, and we are doing that.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, great, thank you. Honestly, with the Librería del Pueblo, when we got word, I know for myself and just to have a fellow board member being part of the list is amazing. And I'm trying to catch up to them because they're like big individuals. So thank you so much for the recognition as well. So we look forward to being there and receiving the award. For that, let me go ahead and pass it to Dr. Marsden for 9.6, comments by Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. First, Board, I just wanted to compliment Dr. Mitchell and his team's leadership, Scott Iliff and Scott Nelson. They did an all-out welcome for our student advisory for their first meeting for the year. They had the Cajon band out, greeted the kids. They had these balloon towers with all the school colors, decorated the tabletops. They just did a great job, and I am just so grateful for their leadership of that work, and so thank you. I wanted to congratulate Cole Elementary School Principal Keisha Handy, who received the Humanitarian Award of the Year and Community Service Awards from the Black Rose event, and you heard about Dr. Margaret Hill, and it's worth repeating, receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. Board, I also want to remind you that the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools State of Education Address is happening Thursday, September 19th at 3 p.m. So if you need assistance registering, please contact Karen Cunningham or Carla Cross. We, of course, want to make sure that's on your calendar. And then, Board, wanted to let you know that President Diana Rodriguez from Valley College and I joined our entire team that works around pathways, including Dr. Mitchell, and visit Unical. It's a small company on the San Bernardino Airport. You may or may not be aware of. They're a small manufacturer who also primarily tears planes down and rebuilds them. And so we're looking at partnering with them on paid internships and opportunities for our students to advance through their company. And you stole my thunder, but I will repeat it, that our Women of Achievement, congratulations to Board President Abigail Medina, Rosales Medina, and Board Vice President Gwendolyn Rogers, who will be honored with the 2019 Legacy of Exemplary Service Award presented by the Library de Pueblo at their annual event on September 27th. So I'll be joining you. So grateful to see that that's occurring. And a way to represent. And then finally, I wanted Dr. Mitchell to mention we just kicked off our literacy task force in partnership with Footsteps to Brilliance. So Dr. Mitchell, if you could just make a few comments about that.
Thank you. And Ms. Rogers was kind enough to mention that earlier in her comments. And so, Board, we've launched a community-based initiative around creating the joy of reading among our children, early literacy. We've partnered with Footsteps to Brilliance as well as Renaissance, as well and a host of other partners that we're already using from pre-K to, we're really focused on early literacy, pre-K to grade 3. And I also want to give a special shout out to Jonathan Laura, 5th grade student at Paakuma, who won the slogan campaign, reading is like dreaming with your eyes open. And so we want to extend an invitation to him in the upcoming future to speak to the board on how he came up with that slogan. He competed with over 100 kids and won, and the slogan is just really resonating with our community. So we're happy to kind of kick this off. It's really involving educators and communities. We spend so much time thinking about teaching reading that this gives us an opportunity to celebrate reading and to create a joy of reading, a lifelong joy of reading among our youth. We know that that's a critical aspect to their success later in life, and so this idea of lifelong learning and lifelong reading, and the idea of kids just enjoying a book and seeing that a book is a great present alongside with an electronic device. So thank you, Board, for your support, and we'll keep you posted as we move along with the initiative.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. And those are all my comments. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and go to 10 points.
Ms. Medina?
Yes.
Can I say
Oh,
one?
yes, that's right. That's right.
No, just one thing. I wanted to say publicly that I'm excited about the strategic energy planning update and thank Ms. Christakis and their staff. They say that they're going to have 30 new sites. The proposed 30 sites, there were 30 new sites that are going to get solar and some of the parking structure, right? Which is great. They're going to do it in phases, and make sure we contact Mr. Dan Morton, the community person, who really stayed on us about doing solar. So it's just nice to know that we're going to benefit and save a lot of money and give staff and parents a cool place to park. And the next 10 are going to be, is it San Bernardino High School, the Administrative Building, Rodriguez, Shannon Hills, San Andreas, Kendall, Arrowview, Serrano, the Adult Education School, and Professional Development Center, right? Thank you very much. This is exciting.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and go to 10.0, consent calendar. Can I have a motion?
Actually, we have a couple members that may want to abstain on a couple items, so staff.
So moved.
So then, yes, and
Yep,
then
sorry,
now we can
I
go ahead and start
apologize.
pulling
Forgive me.
items.
I'm jumping ahead.
So 10.8, that's okay.
10.8.
Any other items?
I'm sorry, 2.8. And then you
10.28. 10.20. Going once, going twice? Okay, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All those abstaining? Okay, motion carried. Let's go ahead and go to 10.20.
And I can just state for the public that Dr. Wyatt is a member on the board of Young Visionaries, and so he's abstaining for that purpose.
Okay.
Correct.
So
Thank you, Dr.
moved.
Marson.
And so I can read it, 10.020, agreement with Young Visionaries Youth Leadership Academy, San Bernardino, California, to conduct a focus group and study on high-achieving African-American students. And so it was moved. Is there a second? Second. Okay. It was second. Any further discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All those abstaining? Okay, motion carried.
Yeah, we have an
Oh, yeah, that's one
abstention from
abstention
Scott
with
Wyatt.
us, Dr. Scott Wyatt. We have 10.20, I'm sorry, 10.28.
So moved.
Let me read it because I'm not there yet, sorry.
And this is a
So this is-
nonprofit led by Dr.
Right.
Ms. Rogers.
10.20 is agreement with Young Women's Empowerment Foundation, San Bernardino, California, to provide the Empowered to Excel educational and mentoring program at Cajon High School. And so we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All those abstaining, and I believe would she be abstaining or she just
Yeah,
steps
she's
up?
abstained.
Okay. So let's go to 11.0 action items. Give me a second. And this is the personnel report is 11.1, personnel report number 5, dated September 17th, 2019. Dr. Volkemer?
As presented.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried. Be resolved that personnel report number 5, dated September 11th, 2019, is approved as presented. 11.2, approval of new board policy 3230, federal grant funds, first reading. Can I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carried. Be it resolved that the Board of Education receives the new board policy 3230, federal grant funds, as its first reading. So let's go to 11.3.
Madam President, can we take 11.3 and to 11.5 together and make a motion to approve?
This is, let me make sure, which one is this one? This is the one with the adjustment?
The
Oh, we
adjustment.
have we're first making the motion, right?
This is the one without the adjustments. This is 11.3 to 11.5.
11.3 to 11.5. This is without the adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, yes, let's go ahead and do that. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried. So now we're moving to 11.6.
Yeah, and Madam President, you may want to entertain 11.6. We'd like to go ahead and adjust where it says to 228 days to make it 222 days on each item, 11.6 through 11.11. So if you wanted to consider those in a...
I'll make a motion for 11.6 to 11.11. With that change?
With that change, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carried. Let's go to 11.12, which is board ongoing initiatives reports.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Okay, motion carried. 11.13, which is board top 10.
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Okay, motion carried. 11.14, board follow-up.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All those abstaining? Okay, motion carried. 11.15, future agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Okay, motion carried. Now 12.0, summary of board requests. Dr. Volkermer?
Thank you, Madam President. Board, I have the following items for follow-up. Share the metrics that drive staffing and follow it strictly once that's shared. Second one is to provide a report on CPR training for our students and how much progress we've made toward that 50,000. Explore the possibility of a mental health pathway as a complement to our existing pathways. Reshape our blue slips for public comment to include at least the school, but to make any other information optional as to not dissuade or have a chilling effect on members of the public from commenting or asking questions, sharing their thoughts. Share the action plans related to the DNF report, which is coming up at the end of the first quarter. Report on the guidelines for our calling system and make sure that we're prioritizing that effectively so that parents are not inundated with multiple calls in a given day. And then provide an update on the elementary CDS program. I think that's all the follow-ups.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go ahead and move to 13.0, which can I have a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, board meeting adjourned. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday the 1st at 5:30 here at the multipurpose room. See you all then. Thank you. Have a good night.